doing
Applause.
a solo.
Oh, that sounded really bratty.
Last year, Charli XCX dropped her critically acclaimed album Brat. The album was a massive success and it even dominated pop culture for a bit. Now that over a year has passed since the album's release, I want to look at each song on the album, including the deluxe tracks, and see how well they've aged. If you know me, you wouldn't be surprised to know that Brat was my album of the year last year. I just think that it's such a well-curated project that is a true representation of Charli's artistry, and I'm really glad that the album has received so much success over the past year. First off, we have the opening track 360, which I really think serves as the album's thesis statement. It reflects on Charli's online presence as an internet it girl and her ability to predict the culture and adapt alongside it. The song's music video also helps reinforce these ideas, with special cameos from niche internet it girls like Julia Fox and Alex Consani, who helped develop their online presence by building their popularity within smaller internet communities. It was a really good way to start off the album. One of my favorite parts of the song is when she name drops her producer A.G. Cook, simply because I just think it's cool when artists shout out the people who help make their music. Club Classics was an instant hit for me when I first heard it. It is easily one of my favorite songs on the record. It's just really fun, and I love the carefree, infectious energy of the track. The production is excellent, and it helps create an immersive experience within the song's 2.5-minute run. The song's main focus is Charli reminiscing on the club hits she used to hear when she went partying, and how she wishes to hear those songs again. Once again, she shouts out her producers, including the late SOPHIE. Sympathy is a Knife is such an interesting song. One of Brat's main themes is ego, more specifically the dichotomy of how a person perceives themselves and how it changes constantly. It covers the spectrum between a full-blown ego trip and an intense self-deprecation. Sympathy is a Knife represents the latter half of that spectrum. One of the things I liked about this song is how Charli's yelling in the last minute sounds like she's in pain, as if she's being hurt by a quote-unquote knife. It really helps convey the emotion in the song and provides clarity to the ideas being discussed. I might say something stupid, was definitely a grower. It's not that I disliked the track, but more so that it didn't stand out that much amongst the other songs. Recently, I found myself listening to the song more and really connecting to it. Not that I didn't before, but I've really grown to appreciate the song's placement in the record, especially after Sympathy is a Knife. To me, Sympathy is a Knife is the falling from grace, and I might say something stupid is the moment you hit rock bottom. The more somber production helps provide that atmosphere. The track feels like that moment when you leave the party to collect yourself because you're feeling too overwhelmed by your own thoughts and insecurities. I don't really have much to say about Talk Talk. I think it's a fun song and that's about it. I do really like the ending where Charli asks the person she has a crush on to talk to her in different languages. Von Dutch is a smash. It made sense to have it as the lead single for the album. It's fun, abrasive, and chaotic. The confrontational attitude of the song worked well for introducing the Brat era. It was also my most streamed song of 2024. Everything is Romantic is another favorite of mine. The track focuses on this idea of being able to romanticize the most mundane things when you're in love. My favorite part of the song is the outro. The production switches from an intense dance beat and becomes soft and minimal, while Charli repeats the same line over and over again. It feels incredibly atmospheric and euphoric. As the title suggests, Rewind sees Charli wishing to go back to a time in her life when everything was much simpler and when she wasn't so caught up in her own insecurities. It's like a more serious sequel to 1999, a track from her self-titled album where she shares a similar sentiment about wanting to go back in time. Rewind was initially one of my standout tracks when I first heard the album. However, I find myself not going back to the song as much now. So I is a beautiful but devastating track. It is dedicated to the late SOPHIE, Charli's friend and former producer, who tragically passed away in 2021. SOPHIE played a big role in Charli's artistic shift into the PC music scene when she helped produce her Room Room EP. Lyrically, this is one of the best songs on the album because it really puts into perspective how painful SOPHIE's loss was for not only Charli but those who were creatively influenced by SOPHIE. Charli talks about how influential SOPHIE was for her and expresses guilt for not treasuring the time they spent together more. I don't go back to this track often due to how sad it is, but that doesn't take away from how beautiful the song is. Rest in peace, Sophie. Girl So Confusing has definitely aged pretty well, especially with the existence of the Lorde remix. I don't know, there's just something so cathartic about this song. In an age where people pick fights at the first sight of any confrontation, it was so refreshing to see someone let their walls down and break the tension. It's arguably the most confrontational and direct song on this record. I'm honestly glad that Apple went viral because out of every song on this record, it happened to the song that seemed unlikely to become popular. What I like about this song is how the production contrasts with the lyrical content. You have this fun, upbeat instrumental that's layered on top of a serious composition. Lyrically, I think it's great. Familial trauma is such a common experience, yet I'm surprised more artists don't talk about it in their music. It is a type of relationship dynamic that I wish would be explored more in mainstream music. B2B is another fun song that I've grown to like more and more. What I especially love about it is how the production keeps changing in contrast to Charli repeating the same lines over and over again. It keeps the song fresh and it doesn't leave you feeling bored with the repetition. This song is a good example of how effective a well-crafted instrumental can be. Also, while reading about this song, I read that the title is a reference to back-to-back DJing, which is where two or more DJs take turns playing music during a single set. Mean Girls is not as serious as the title might imply. It's more of a character analysis for this very specific type of woman that Charli describes in her song. It focuses on the type of woman whose public persona is very divisive amongst online audiences and is always being talked about. The production kind of reminds me of Rihanna's S&M with the intense bass in both songs. I love the piano break in the middle of the song. It offers a nice change of pace. Overall, the song's pretty fun, but I haven't really gone back to it in a while as I don't really connect to it as much as I did when I first heard it. I think about it all the time as a very underrated track. Not only is it unique within the album, we've also never seen Charli do a song like this before. It focuses on Charli's complex relationship with her career, while simultaneously confronting the possibility of motherhood and what that means to her. It's an experience that I imagine is had by not only women in the music industry, but in any field of work as they get older. Especially when you consider that a lot of women are expected to choose one thing, which is usually motherhood, and sacrifice the other, which is usually their career. What I like about this song is how conversational the writing is. It feels like you're listening to Charli's unfiltered thoughts as she evaluates her career and how to navigate it. This is one of those tracks where she really strips back the party girl persona and exposes the more intrapersonal side of herself. 365 is a jarring follow-up to its preceding track and is also the closing track on the standard record. It samples 360, which intentionally gives the album this continuous feeling as it returns back to the opening track. It serves as a reminder that the lifestyle Charli discusses on Brat is cyclical and that you'll always end up at the beginning doing it all over again. My favorite part is the intense instrumental breakdown that happens at the end of the song. It's very chaotic, abrasive, and fun, and it goes incredibly hard. Hello Goodbye is the first deluxe track. It kind of functions as a prequel to Talk Talk, with similar themes of wanting to approach the person you have a crush on. Talk Talk is about wanting to be closer to someone you're already talking to, whereas Hello Goodbye focuses on Charli trying to make the first move so that her crush will notice her. It was kind of like I Might Say Something Stupid, where I didn't really care much for it when I first heard it, but as time has gone on, it has definitely grown on me. I can definitely see why it was left off the standard record, but it's still a fun listen. Guess it's just fun. There's not much to say other than it's a raunchy banger. The beat drop at the end goes really hard, and I also like that she name drops the Dare, who helped produce the song. Spring Breakers is the last track for the deluxe album, and I think it's as effective of a closer as 365 was. It's very spunky and audacious, and it goes fucking hard. It reminds me of the ego spectrum that I mentioned earlier in the video, where a track like Sympathy as a Knife falls in the latter half of that spectrum. Spring Breakers falls on the opposite side. I also find it amusing that this song was made as a diss track to the Grammys, and now she has 3 awards from them. To conclude, I do think the album has aged really well. I go back and forth on whether or not Brat is Charli's magnum opus. I think it's an excellent record, but my favorite album from her is 2020's How I'm Feeling Now. So I don't know, but I think it could be either of those projects. I also feel like we're seeing Charli's influence begin to show on music in 2025. A good example of this is Cat's Eye's Gnarly. That song feels like a page taken directly from the PC Music playbook, and it definitely feels inspired by Charli's own sound. As someone who's been a fan of Charli for a while, it feels incredible to see her finally get the recognition and success that she deserves. If you've only heard Brat, I highly recommend checking out her other projects as well. She's been making incredible music for years. Well, that's all for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments and I'll see you next time.